What if a simple visit could change the meaning of family forever? Join us in this heartwarming story of Diem and Toan, who travel to visit their friend Thu, only to find him away and spend the afternoon cooking with his gentle mother. What begins as a casual meal soon turns into something far deeper, a moment that fills Diem's lifelong emptiness of love and belonging. In a single evening, she finds not just warmth, but a mother she never had. Subscribe now and feel the tenderness of A Daughter Found by Love. The afternoon sun poured down softly, dyeing the small countryside road in shades of gold. Diem sat behind Toan on his old motorbike, her long hair fluttering in the wind as they passed rows of green bamboo and ripe rice fields swaying gently. The air smelled faintly of earth after rain, warm, peaceful, and strangely nostalgic. They were on their way to visit Tu, an old friend of Tuan's, someone Diem had only heard of but never met. She carried in her lap a small basket wrapped in a checkered cloth. Inside were a few bunches of fresh vegetables from their own garden and a jar of pickled eggplant she'd made herself. "It's not much," she told Tuan shyly, "but I hope his family will like it." When they arrived at Tu's house, the afternoon light had turned amber. Slanting across the yard where an old guava tree stood in silence. The house was simple but tidy, its walls tinged with time, its windows open to welcome the breeze. Tuan knocked on the gate and, after a moment, a gentle woman appeared, her gray hair tied neatly, her smile kind and familiar, as if she'd known them for years. "Ah, you must be Tuan," she said, her voice soft and warm. "Tu just went out for a bit. He should be home soon. Come in, don't just stand there." Diem bowed politely, her heart strangely touched by the woman's kindness. There was something about her that reminded Diem of a warmth she had long forgotten, the warmth of a mother she had never truly known. Inside, the house smelled of tea and wood smoke, and the faint aroma of jasmine lingered in the air. When Tuan mentioned they hadn't eaten yet, the woman quickly offered to cook something, but Diem shook her head with a smile. "Please, let me help you, Auntie. I'd love to cook with you." And just like that, the kitchen came alive with laughter and the soft clatter of utensils. Diem washed vegetables while the woman cleaned fish by the old sink near the back door. Tuan busied himself with chopping firewood and teasing both of them whenever he could. Soon, the sweet fragrance of rice filled the air. The three of them worked together like family, the kind of togetherness that didn't need words to feel real. Every little gesture, the way the woman patted Diem's hand when she sliced the vegetables too thin, or how Diem rushed to pour her a cup of tea, spoke of a bond quietly forming, tender and sincere. Outside, the sky began to turn violet, and a soft breeze whispered through the trees. By the time they set the table, Diem looked around and felt something warm bloom in her chest, a sense of belonging she hadn't known she was missing. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she was home. The soft creak of the front gate broke the cozy hum of the kitchen. Diem looked up, just as Thu stepped through the doorway, wiping sweat from his forehead. His eyes widened in surprise at the sight before him. Tuan crouched by the stove, feeding small logs into the fire, while Diem stood near the wooden counter, her sleeves rolled up, tasting the soup with a ladle. The scent of simmering broth filled the room, blending with the faint sweetness of lemongrass and the smoky warmth of the fire. For a brief moment, Tuan simply stood there, a smile tugging at the corners of his lips. Toan, you didn't tell me you were bringing a chef, he teased, setting down the bag in his hand. Diem turned, slightly flustered, her cheeks dusted with color. We thought we'd surprise you, Toan laughed, patting his friend on the shoulder. Your mother's been hosting us while you were gone. Thu's mother came out of the kitchen with a pot of rice, her eyes sparkling with joy. You're just in time, my son. Dinner's ready. The three of them gathered around the wooden table, its surface shining under the golden lamplight. The simple dishes, sour soup with fish, stir-fried morning glory, and crispy tofu, looked humble yet inviting. As they ate, laughter flowed easily between bites. Thu listened as Toan told stories from their college days, his eyes lighting up at the mention of long-forgotten mischiefs. Diem smiled quietly, enjoying the comfort of their friendship. Every time the mother reached over to fill Diem's bowl or gently reminded her to eat more, Diem's heart softened a little more. She had eaten countless meals in her life, but none had ever felt quite like this, full of warmth, filled with unspoken care. At one point, Thu noticed how naturally Diem fit into their home, the way she leaned forward to refill the mother's cup of tea, how her laughter blended so softly with theirs. It was as if she had always belonged there. You cook like someone who grew up in the countryside, he remarked with a smile. Diem lowered her gaze, her voice gentle. I didn't grow up anywhere for long, but I've always loved the feeling of a real home. The words hung in the air for a moment, delicate yet heavy with meaning. The mother reached out, resting her wrinkled hand over Diem's. She said, You're always welcome here, dear. Diem looked up, her eyes shining under the warm light. Outside, the crickets had begun their evening song. Through the open window, the faint scent of night-blooming flowers drifted in, mingling with the aroma of freshly cooked rice. As laughter continued to fill the small house, Diem felt something stir deep within her, a fragile, tender hope that maybe, just maybe, she had found a place where she truly belonged. When the meal was nearly over, the laughter began to fade into a gentle, comfortable silence. The warm glow of the oil lamp danced softly across the wooden walls, and the soft chirping of crickets drifted in from outside. Diem sat quietly for a moment, her chopsticks resting beside her bowl, her heart fluttering with emotions she couldn't quite name. She watched Thu's mother clear a few plates, her movements slow but tender, every gesture soaked with care. Something in that simple sight stirred a deep ache inside her, the ache of someone who had spent a lifetime searching for the feeling of home. Toan, Thu's mother said kindly, you and Diem must stay the night if it gets late. The road's dark this time of year. Toan smiled and nodded, but Diem hesitated, her gaze lowering to her hands. Then, as if gathering all her courage, she lifted her eyes and looked at the older woman. Her voice trembled, but it was steady enough to carry the weight of her heart. Auntie, she began softly, there's something I've been wanting to say since we arrived. Everyone turned to her, the air suddenly still. I never had parents. I lost them when I was very young. Since then, I've always envied people who had a mother to care for them, to scold them, to wait for them to come home. Her voice broke just a little, and Toan reached out, giving her hand a reassuring squeeze. Today, sitting here with you, I felt something I haven't felt in years. Warmth, peace, belonging. So, would you let me call you Mother? Just once? Or maybe, if you allow me, from now on? The room fell silent. Thu's mother froze for a moment, her eyes filling with tears before she even realized it. Then she stood, walked around the table and gently cupped Diam's face in her weathered hands. "Oh, my dear child," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You don't have to ask. You already are my daughter." Tears streamed down Dime's cheeks as she leaned into the woman's embrace, her shoulders shaking with quiet sobs. The older woman held her close, one hand stroking her hair, the other clutching her hand tightly as if afraid to let go. "You've suffered enough," she said softly. "From today on, you'll have a mother and a home to return to." Tuan and Diam watched in silence, their eyes shining. The simple kitchen with its flickering lamp and half-eaten dishes suddenly felt sacred, a place where hearts met without needing words. Outside, the wind rustled through the guava tree, carrying the scent of blossoms into the room. And in that tender moment, under the quiet hum of night, Diam finally found what she had been missing all her life.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các khán giả đang theo dõi kênh Nhí Tử Diễm Review. Vậy là tập phim của chúng ta ngày hôm nay đã kết thúc tại đây. Nếu mọi người thấy tập phim ngày hôm nay hay, hấp dẫn mới lạ, hãy cho mình xin một nút like, một nút chia sẻ và để lại bình luận ở dưới video để làm tăng tương tác của video lên giúp mình nhé. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều. Vậy là trong tập phim ngày hôm nay, Diễm đã chính thức có một người mẹ, đó chính là mẹ của Thư. Và Diễm đã nhận mẹ của Thư làm mẹ nuôi và được bà hết sức ủng hộ và chấp thuận. Mọi tình tiết hấp dẫn về câu chuyện Diễm Toàn sẽ còn được kể ở các câu chuyện có trong video tiếp theo. Các bạn nếu thấy hay hấp dẫn, hãy bấm vào đăng ký kênh để nhận được thông báo mới nhất về các tập phim sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh nha. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại. Bye bye.